What is up, people? This is Abraham Walker, the Ask A Walker, your Northern Virginia real estate agent. My contact information is right over there. If you like my videos, please thumbs up, subscribe, or tell a friend about it, right? So in today's video, this is more geared towards buyers, and if you're a seller, homeowner going through the home sale process, you also want to check out this video. This is what happens if you find a big problem during your home inspection. Remember, when you're going to view a property, right? When you're falling in love with a property, you're there, 15, 20 minutes at the most. If it's a very large property, maybe 30, 45 minutes, right? For your large estates. Well, when you're there, you don't really have enough time to turn on all the lights, to check all the switches, to make sure all the doors and the windows work, right? This is why you get a home inspection, right? This is your verification of what you are purchasing, right? So you visually look at the property before you make an offer, right? And this is kind of like what you're purchasing. The home inspection is actually verifying what the value of your property is based on its condition, right? Value based on condition. So in this video, we're going to talk about the home inspection period. We're also going to talk about risk associated to what the home inspector finds, right? Because a big problem, that phrase doesn't really properly put yourself in a good mindset to make a decision, right? Because you have to make a decision with the information you find from your home inspection. So let's jump into it, right? First off, let's talk about the home inspection process. There's actually 3 phases to the home inspection process. First phase is the inspection itself, right? This is where you actually do all your findings, right? This is where you find out as much information as possible about the property. Home inspections usually have 2 phases in this finding period, right? Think about it from a perspective of like going to a doctor, right? When you go to a doctor, you go to a general practitioner, right? This is a generalist. This is an individual who's really just looking for things that are normal. And if there's anything abnormal, they're looking for what specialist you should reach out to and refer you to that individual, right? So the home inspector is just like a general practitioner, where this individual is really just there to they have a broad sense of how the home works, how the major systems work. It's very general, right? And so this individual is looking for major issues, because major issues cost you major bucks, right? And so this is what that home inspection is. And then they're going to refer you to a specialist, right? So in your finding period, you're actually going to have 2 phases where the home inspector is going to conduct a general inspection, and then that general inspection, if they find something, will lead to a specialist coming to the property. For instance, today we're conducting a home inspection on a property for a first-time home buyer client of ours, and there were some structural issues that were found. Now, we don't know the severity of those issues, but the home inspector said you should reach out to a structural engineer, right? So you see how that's a referral? So you don't want to bring the structural engineer at the beginning, because you really want to get an overview of what the property, the condition of the property, right? So the general practitioner first, then the specialist. So it's a 2-phase process in this finding period. The next part of the next part of the home inspection period is actually where you determine what you want, right? This is your wants, right? Now, in the wants period, this is where you take in all that information and you say, okay, great. Based on what I know about this property now, what do I want from the sellers? Do I want to move forward? Do I want to cancel the contract? Do I want to negotiate, right? So you look at those 3 areas of wants, right? Do I want to proceed? Do I want to negotiate, right? What do I want from the seller? After you figure out what your wants are, then it's time to negotiate, right? So you're negotiating back and forth with the seller, right? Because let's be honest, when you're living in any size property, things could happen to it, or things could be wrong with it that the seller really doesn't know. They really have no idea. Some sellers may know. We just don't know, right? And so you want to give them an opportunity to either remedy the situation or provide you with some funds so that you could remedy the situation, right? I will give you a little hint though. If you go into a property and there are lots of DIY improvements made to the property, right? So this is a homeowner who has taken upon themselves to either watch YouTube videos like this one, or they hired questionable contractors. For those individuals, you really don't want them touching the house again. You just don't want them touching the house. It's preferable that you actually get them to either provide you with a closing cost credit or some type of funds. They get the funds to you so that you could do the work yourself, right? You don't want somebody who has a short-term mindset, right? They're about to get out of the property to make a long-term decision, right? And so that's just a little note. Okay, so now we understand what the timeline is for the inspection timeline, right? Now let's talk about if you find something, right? So like, let's go to the client that we're representing today, right? We found a structural issue with the property, or something that could be a structural issue, right? Because the home inspector can't say that this is a structural issue. What they can say is you should talk to this professional, a specialist, so that they can tell you what it is. Well, when you're looking at this big problem, right? When you're looking at this specialist issue, you want to look at the risk associated with this item, right? So let's take, for instance, a roof, right? A roof could be anywhere from $5,000 to $12,000, depending on what you purchase. Well, if the inspector says that the useful life of the roof is only, if you're at the half-life of the roof, then this may be something that's maybe in the middle of that risk spectrum, right? But for the structural issue, we won't know if it is a more risky situation until we get the specialist in, right? And so you want to put everything that the home inspector provides you on a risk spectrum, right? What is the risk associated with this item? Not what is the risk associated with something happening to me. That is one way to look at the risk. The real risk that you're looking at, other than life, right? If it costs you your life, yes, of course, you want to make sure that that's taken care of. And what we're really assessing with this risk is dollars amount, right? So the less risky items, we're looking at, these are lower dollar amount items, right? The more risky items, these could cost you a lot of money, right? So think about it. For a roof, again, right? So we're saying $5,000 to $12,000 for a roof. If the home inspector says that the roof life expectancy is at the end of their life, and maybe you get a roof specialist, right, to provide you with a inspection of a roof, which is going to be very challenging because a lot of the roofers will just give you an estimate, right? I digress. And if they say, okay, great, you're going to need a new roof, then this is going to be a riskier purchase for you, right? Because the roof failing could damage the upper level of your property. It could cause more damage than you're willing to take on at this time, depending on how much cash you have, right? So you see how risk is really a byproduct of how much money you have in the bank at this time, and also your risk tolerance for these issues, right? So if you come across a really big problem, settle down, calm down, and just start to bring yourself through this analysis of risk, right? And you can't properly digest or comprehend the risk until you get a specialist involved, okay? So if you have any questions about this process, please post it down below. Maybe you have some experience with this yourself. Maybe you've gone through a couple transactions, or you're a real estate professional. Post down below. What do you do when you come across a big problem during a home inspection? As always, thank you for watching, and I will see you on the next video. Peace.